It's really wonderful to be here with the Honorable Minister for Ghana at the important announcement of this Ghana Energy Transition Investment Plan. And we're very much looking forward to hearing more about this opportunity for investment. And we also, of course, are joined by Christina Duarte, the UN Secretary General Special Advisor for Africa, to offer her interventions as well. My name's Antha Williams. I oversee the climate and environment programs at Bloomberg Philanthropies. And on behalf of Mike Bloomberg, I think we are deeply interested and invested in this conversation. We've heard a lot of numbers here this morning. We've heard that at perhaps even the high end, the amount of renewable energy investment globally that's being dedicated to Africa is 2%. Our colleagues at Bloomberg New Energy Finance have actually found that that number is lower, 0.6%, less than 1%, despite the fact that Africa has about 60% of the solar resources in the world. That's just one number. We also know that there's 600 million people in Africa who lack access to electricity. And yet at the same time, we look at a country like Ghana where it's 80% electrified. And there's a plan not only for the energy sector and what needs to happen to provide energy, but how to provide clean energy. And from a philanthropic perspective, we recognize very much that this isn't about charity, it's about investment. That's why this is called an investment plan, and about partnerships. And I really want to thank our partners at Gabi and at Sustainable Energy for All for convening this conversation. So Minister Kweyu Efriye, I would very much love to hear from you about the Ghana Energy Transition Investment Plan and what it means for your country of Ghana, and perhaps as well what it means for other countries represented here in the room.
Thank you very much. And let me say that I'm very, very happy to be here.
Let me give this to you, if I can.
I'm very, very happy to be here and to also to expatiate on the investment plan that has just been inaugurated by the president. Ghana has a lot of potential, just like most countries, a lot of countries in Africa. But our transition plan is guided by our NDCs that we feel that is part of our contribution towards mitigation. But as we all know, we, or Africa as a matter of fact, contributes little to this whole climate issue. But the paradox is that the solution lies with Africa, and for that matter, Ghana. Ghana has been a trailblazer in several respects. We were the first country south of the Sahara to gain independence, and we have, if you like, point above our weight in international circles and all that. We are happy to be here and also to participate and to contribute towards this global issue. And we have to make sure this is, we put boots on the ground, so to speak, so that we get our energy transition in order and avoid dirty fuels. As you know, this is a huge sacrifice because when it comes to the so-called dirty fuels, Ghana is also discovering a lot of, petroleum products, on its shores, and then also even in inland country. We have a lot of potential there. But we understand that the world is moving on, and we also have to move with it. And again, when it comes to renewables too, we have lots of potential. Like you said, we are in the tropical belt. Ghana can even be said to be the center of the world because the equator and the zero longitude crosses Africa, Ghana. So in some sense, needless to say that because of that, we are exposed to maximal solar energy. So if we want to use solar, for example, the way our infrastructure is, and we have supporting legal regimes and whatnot, that's the place to come and invest. Again, where we have virtually exhausted our hydro potential, but there are several small hydro systems which are also waiting to be developed. Then we have large biomass. After all, being in the tropical area means that we can leverage biomass also as part of it. We have potential for wind energy too, and so on and so forth. So it's a good place to, and even right now, we are in phase 2 of, nuclear energy. We have been dealing with the IEA, and right from the 60s, Ghana was among the second wave of countries who saw the potential in developing their nuclear energy. And we have a very, very, good history in this area. We have made contributions. We have research reactors in Accra, and we have a large pool of manpower in this area. So of all the energy mix, you can find Ghana in this situation. Actually, you said that Ghana, we are doing 80% in the electricity penetration. It's closer to 90% than you think. And the Minister for Energy is here, and we make sure that within the shortest possible time, Ghana, the whole country is joined to the national grid. So, but there are several hard-to-reach areas where we have to leverage renewables, and then so that we can get this 100%. Of course, we must build our industries, and that is where that's the real McCoy. And so, and as you know, there are technical problems to be solved. When you take the, emission subsector, you see that in Ghana, most of our pollution comes from the energy sector. And then, of course, it includes transport and all that. So we're looking forward to investment, renewables, and also clean energy in the transport sector, the industrial sector, and also even in agriculture. Agro-processing is coming on steam. And we know that the short-lived, greenhouse gases, methane and others, we have to invest in those areas so that we cut down emissions. Personally, I'm a public health physician, and if you add to the fact that when you work on these greenhouse emissions, you also can talking about getting equity and things for especially women folk who inhale polluted air from open fuel driven by using wood stoves and whatnot. So we want clean energy, we want investment in those areas. So there are so many areas that we can invest in Ghana, and we've enunciated them in this document that has been inaugurated by the president, and we call on the investment community. Ghana has a very good legal regime, and we have our judiciary system is good, it's not blind, it's blind to. Your case speaks for itself. So when you come to Ghana, your investment is secured. And also, I must say that another related area is the mining sector. And of course, that one too has its own carbon footprints, and we want to invest energy that will, make sure that we also produce our gold and our diamonds and our iron ores are waiting for even further investment. Ghana has some of the largest deposits of bauxite, and we have an entity in place which will make sure that we leverage energies to export, alumina, or aluminum, and then also the iron ore deposits. So we've got a lot of things. We are revamping our railway sector, and then we also need energy in that area. So, well, I'll stop here and say that all these things have been captured, or be not in too much detail, but in this NTC, in a very conceptual way, but sometimes even in some details in this document. So I'll be waiting for further clarifications from the audience. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Minister. I really appreciate your comments, and I liked your use of the word trailblazer. The UN Secretary General's call this week for first movers to be showcased has certainly been a resonant call, and with your energy transition investment plan, you're making quite a valuable contribution there. Cristina Duarte, I wonder if you could share what you see as the role of the United Nations in helping advance the Ghana energy investment transition plan.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Before responding to your question, I'll be very quickly the UN role in terms of supporting Ghana's transition. I'd like to take the opportunity and to make a couple of considerations. First, I believe that everybody in this room knows that we have been dealing with the energy transition concept that has been essentially, I would say, designed from developed countries. So developed countries, yes, indeed, they do have an energy transition challenge. And I can provide you some figures. In terms of carbon dioxide emissions, CO2 emissions, France 4 tons, Canada 14, China 7, Ghana 0.6. So the energy transition concept that has been dominating the global narrative, of course, cannot be applied to Africa. It doesn't make sense. So then emerged the concept of just energy transition. And this is an example. And I would like to congratulate the government of Ghana. Exactly, the just energy transition concept came to tell to everybody that we all in this room and outside this room, we all have the same destination. We want a green planet, and we'll deliver a green planet because we have no alternative. But we need to recognize that African countries have a different starting point. We have 600 million, my dear Commissioner Mani. We have, my dear Commissioner, my dear Head of NEPAD, Nardos. We have 600 million people without electricity, and we need to create 18 million jobs annually. This puts us in a different starting point. Again, dear moderator, Ghana is an example. So at the end of the day, my dear brother Minister of Environment, this is an exercise of ownership, where Ghana, through energy planning, succeed in defining its own energy mix and in deciding the time that Ghana needs to make its contribution to the green planet, to a green planet. So telling everybody, I recognize the same destination, and this is my starting point. Please be aware of that. So I'm ready to exercise ownership. Now the question is UN's role. I do believe that UN role can be played at 3 levels. First, supporting the government of Ghana, taking this clear vision, more clear would be impossible, and break it down in clear policy frameworks. Then help the government of Ghana taking these policy frameworks and translating into transactions. Because as you said at the beginning, at the end of the day, private sector has a role to play. But for private sector to play its role, the government, the state, needs to build a conducive environment to private sector investments. And I believe this is an outstanding starting point. Thank you. Back to you.
That's great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, I think we've heard on the issue of timeline, incredible accomplishments in Ghana in terms of bringing forward the timeline from 2070 to 2060, in terms of getting investment much more quickly. And we've heard that we need not just policy, but capital, both philanthropic and investment capital, and support for implementation. So hopefully this has been a helpful conversation. I'd like to thank my dear panelists. It's been an honor to moderate with you. And with that, I'd request a round of applause for this important content.